I guess it's the right time to start this review. Hi guys and welcome! I've got a new wearable and I would like to talk about it. Why? Well, a year ago I picked up running. I do park runs every week, providing I'm not injured or otherwise unavailable, so ever since I started to pay a little bit more attention to wearables. And you probably know my love for cycling, but for cycling I do rely on my Wahoo Element cycling computer, so it was actually the running that made me pay attention more what I'm wearing on my wrist and what is logging my exercises. So whether I'm cycling or running, one remains true. If it's not logged on Strava, did it even happen? This is KOSPET Tank T3 Ultra 2, and I'm going to shorten this name to just KOSPET. You're gonna know which one I'm referring to. A company reached out to me asking to try it out, and I've heard of the brand before, but I never had an opportunity to try one. They offered two different watches. I went with the round face because, well, it's adventurous and it fits my wrist so much better. If you prefer one with a square face, check out their website and see if you like it more. To be fair, I was aware of the brand for some time, and every now and then I would check what they've got on offering. But it wasn't until the proper introduction of hybrid watches, I'm going to explain in a second what do I mean by hybrid watches. Now, the one I've got on my wrist sets you back £159.99, which honestly, considering the hardware and everything, it's something you should consider. But is it any good? So as an avid cyclist and runner, I'm gonna give you all my thoughts on this wearable, and then you can make informed decision whether you should get one for yourself. I mentioned this is a hybrid smartwatch, and this is a name I kind of came up with to differentiate something that lays between a smart bands on one side and proper Android Apple, iPhone, I don't know what even call it, iWatches, that's the one, iWatches on the other side. So they offer so much more than the typical smart bands. They look like a nice smartwatch on your wrist, resembling traditional watches, but while they don't have all the features that Android watches, for example, offer, you don't have to charge them every second day, which is well, it's a massive plus and something I really care about. And while not everything is available on this KOSPET watch, so you can't really send text message directly, there is no SIM card, there are still options that I was quite surprised to see on a hybrid device like this, especially considering quite affordable price. So if you're looking for a wearable that helps you get notifications from your phone while the phone doesn't necessarily is next to you, or you just want to upgrade from a smart band, a hybrid watch is probably the best option without spending too much money on something more expensive. So what do you get? It's rugged and it's fancy. This is, well, adventurous style design, which is backed by adventurous military certification. It's called, let me read that correctly, 15 US Mil-STD-810H. It means that you can dive with it up to 5 atmospheres, and it has IP69 rating. You can take it for a shower, you can take it for a swim, nothing should happen to this lovely watch. Combined with a sporty design, we have a quite bright AMOLED display. It's bright enough for a direct sunlight, and I really like it. It is a 1.43 8-inch display with a resolution of 466 by 466 pixel. It looks really nice and it's quite responsive to the touch. Touchscreen isn't the only way to operate this watch because it comes with 4 buttons, so quite tactile, and I really like the touch of them, and I found myself using the buttons quite a bit, so I definitely appreciate those. And this watch is actually packed with a lot of sensors. We have heart rate monitor, blood oxygen, blood pressure, which is not very often seen on hybrid devices like this, and definitely not for that price. There is a stress level, emotion level, there is a dual band 6 satellite GPS for logging outdoor activities, compass and barometric altimeter. That's already impressive. And if you have it connected via Bluetooth and your phone is nearby, you can also reply to notifications. Granted, those are quick replies only, as long as the notification on your phone support replies. And what I completely didn't expect, you can handle voice calls because it has a built-in speaker. And honestly, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that speaker. I'm kinda impressed.
It's Tuesday evening in North Yorkshire, and here's a glimpse of what's happening around you. News: a 65 road closure. The A65 New Road in Clapham is closed in both directions due to a multi-vehicle accident between the B6480 and the A687.
Hi, and thanks for calling Prima. We may record this call to help improve our service. For more about how we use and look after your data, head to helloprima.co.uk/privacy.
Overall, the build quality is really nice. It's made out of metal. It fits really nicely around my wrist, and it's a perfect size to kind of present itself. I'm struggling to do the strap around my arm. Now, I got it with a silicone strap, but if you have access to different straps, you can easily swap them as long as they have or feature 22mm lugs. You'll be able to pop them out within seconds. But I like the silicone strap, and yeah, I think it looks rather nice. But now that you know what you're getting, let's talk about the sensor accuracy. Now, to increase the accuracy of my sensor, I also shaved my arm a little bit because, let's face it, hair get in a way of optical sensors, and if you struggle to get clear readings, I would also suggest you try that. And not to look like an idiot, you can just blend it in so it doesn't look like you just have a stripe shaved out directly for a watch. So speaking of sensors, I don't have any medical grade devices that I could just certify and tell you, like, yes, this is on point. But I know my body, and I have other devices like chest strap for my cycling or another smartwatch that I can compare it to. And for the most part, I'm very pleased. The heart rate monitor is spot on. It matches my cycling computer with a chest strap, and it matches my other smartwatch to the degree of 1 or 2 beats per minute. That's good enough for me. With step counter, I'm not an idiot. I'm not going to count 7,000 steps. I have my life to live through. But wherever I'm going for a run, I noticed that the step count is very similar to my other watch, meaning that it's probably all right. However, if I spend my day sitting at the desk and not moving much, I also noticed that the watch can overestimate them a little bit for the short activities. That would equal anywhere between 300 and 500 steps a day. To be fair, the step count is, well, it's just an indication how much movement you got through the day, and you should use it as a relative metric, so you would know whether you should increase your activity or not. It's really hard for me to confirm the oxygen level of my blood or the pressure, but I am reasonably healthy, I don't suffocate, and I feel okay. And for the most part, my watch was returning positive values within the range, so I don't have any concerns about accuracy of these. It's not a medical device, you shouldn't rely on this in this way. It's just giving you an indication more or less what your performance is like. Another accurate tracker is the sleep tracker, which I am a person that goes to bed and falls asleep within 3 minutes. I very rarely have insomnia, however I do wake up at night. And some of the waking up is noted in my sleep app. However, I don't toss and turn, so I'll forgive the watch for not recording these. But the duration of the sleep is spot on. As to how much percentage I was in a REM mode or whatever, well, it's an estimate anyway, and you'd have to have a proper head electrodes to prove it, so I'll just trust it. But don't get me wrong, you didn't get a KOSPET device like that to be all medical. You probably got it to be more active. And the watch provides you with lots of opportunities to increase the activities throughout the day. It has plenty of reminders to remind you that you've been sitting for too long, or achievements for meeting certain goals, whether they are calories, distances, or number of steps, and that keeps me motivating. Personally, I get to sit at the desk for a long time, and it's very easy to ignore everything else, and sometimes it's nice to have something buzzing you on your wrist telling you to get up and do some workouts. And it's very easy to be impressed with 170 different exercises you can select on this watch. But the truth be told, other than outdoors activities, some of them is going to be quite similar to each other, and they will measure the duration and intensity based on your heart rate. So while on the surface that number sounds good, in practice you'll find that it's just a different name for pretty much similar logging experience. And to verify it, I went to a gym to do some rowing and some indoor cycling, and I was happy with the results. But where I was really excited was to take the KOSPET watch with me cycling and running, mostly running because that's the point of having one of these, so you don't have to take your phone with you and you can just enjoy being outdoors and doing your exercise while having ability to log it. First of all, let's speak about the GPS positioning system. Depending where you are and the weather conditions and how much sky coverage you've got, that will influence how quickly you acquire the GPS lock needed to track your exercise correctly. Now, if the sky is blue and there is nothing around you, I had a fix within a couple of seconds, like literally less than 5 seconds. If you have clouds and some trees, that might increase to about 20 seconds. One of the things that I also noticed, especially bothered me for the park runs, was that when you start your run, you have mandatory 3-second countdown, which might not be your preferred way because you'll feel like you're 3 seconds late after the start has been announced. So back to cycling, I went for a couple of commute rides and a couple of longer rides after work, and I absolutely enjoyed myself. Granted, the watch isn't the ideal for cycling, mostly because you're gonna want to have your hands on your handlebars at most time and to check your speed and duration and stuff like that. It's just not very comfortable to do it with a watch. I much prefer the cycling computer. But cycling computers can be very expensive, and I won't blame you if you choose to log your rides with a smartwatch. One of the things I've noticed which annoyed me was that the live speed, the speed I was traveling on a bike, was about 30% greater on my watch than on my cycling computer. And since my cycling computer uses GPS and the circumference of my wheel, I deemed it to be very accurate, I have to say that this overestimates the current speed by 30%. Now, at first I thought maybe the GPS fix wasn't great and I was just jumping from one fix to another and that would be overestimating my speed. But when I checked the maps after the workout, I've noticed that the routes are pretty good and the GPS fix is strong, and I can even tell which side of the road I was on, which indicates that I really have a good fix with the watch. So that was not causing the issues. On top of that, once I completed the exercise, the entire average speed has been recalculated because, well, the duration and the distance was known already and everything looked normal in terms of average speed. However, when I went to the chart section of my workout, I could still see quite high speeds on my bicycle, which I clearly didn't achieve. At this point, I was quite curious whether the issue would persist in running, so I waited until Saturday and I went for a park run. And to my surprise, it actually didn't. Not speed, because for running you get pace rather than speed. My pace was consistent with what I've been running before and with my alternative watch to double check everything. So the same issues weren't present when I was simply running. Thanks to a bright display, I was able to check on my metrics, my pace and how far I ran so far, and it was a quite pleasant experience. However, once I finished everything and logged it and opened the KOSPET Fit app to investigate how I did and try to compare it to previous runs, I found the metrics available in the apps to be slightly disappointing. You've got the average figures for the runs and you've got your charts, however there is no breakdown by mile or kilometers to give you indications of how well you were doing. Now, one way to go around it is to export your activity to Strava. However, Strava is the only export option right now and there is no any other option to export your workout as a file that you can import to another app, which is slightly disappointing. Between overestimating the speed while cycling or just having a single integration with no export option, I've reported those things to KOSPET and hopefully they're gonna take action. Another thing that I found that I liked about this watch is more related to the watch face I've selected than the watch itself, but throughout the day it would show me the overall distance, cumulative distance I covered, whether it was walking, cycling, etc. And after a long bike ride, that distance would look rather impressive. But it's a great way to feel a sense of achievement. And on the note of the watch faces, there is an entire app store that allows you to pick different ones or create a custom ones, so you always will find option to customize your KOSPET watch. At the beginning of this video, I said that one of the advantages of hybrid watches like this is the battery life. And after using the watch for a couple of weeks, I've noticed that it takes anywhere between 10 and 20% per day, meaning I would have to charge it once a week. That's actually pretty decent, especially that I'm a person that receives a lot of notifications. I'm trying to be quite active. And I've set all the sensors to monitor me at the highest possible frequency with the screen at full brightness selected to 30 seconds. The only options I've chosen not to use, which I don't often use anyway, was the one about having always on display. So with those settings on, I found that weak battery life to be quite respectable. There is no denying that this is quite impressive watch hardware-wise. There's a couple of things that I would love to see on another iteration. Mainly first the storage for music, so I could actually connect it to my headphones and go for a run without taking my phone. Another option is connected to that would be to have NFC payments, so whenever I'm out on a run or cycle, I don't have to go to my back pockets, try to find a wallet, card or a phone to make the payment, and I can just simply tap with my wrist and have it all done. Hardware-wise, I consider this watch to be absolutely brilliant. The only thing that KOSPET must do right now is to focus on the software aspect of it. And I am hopeful because I've seen this progress before with Amazfit devices, where they started with really nice watches, but the apps were somehow lacking. And with enough time, I would like KOSPET to take the same action and keep on working on a KOSPET Fit app to make it more better and more suited for all adventurous needs. KOSPET Tank T3 Ultra 2 is a really nice looking watch. I really like how it looks, I really like how it feels on my wrist, and with affordable price tag is probably something that many of you would consider if you don't have a smart device. It brings that premium feel to your wrist, it enables you to have notifications at hand so you don't always have to take your phone when you're walking around, and that's the freedom I am personally looking from a hybrid watch. I don't have to charge it every day and I'm actually quite pleased with it. So if you're interested guys, I'm gonna link it in the description of this video. So big shout out to KOSPET for sending the watch for the review. Big thank you to you for watching, and if you're interested in more content from me, you know how YouTube works. I'm not going to explain you all of that. A couple of social media links for you to follow, and I'm definitely going to see you in the next video. Take care. Bye.